"We didn't order for your son," my sister said, handing him a fruit cup while her kids devoured $120 steaks and dessert. My dad added with a shrug, "You should have packed him something." I just smiled and said, "Noted." When the waiter came back, I stood up and announced, "Actually, can I get the bill?" "My name is Madison Clark. I'm 33, and if you think blood guarantees love, you've never sat at my family's table. They always made me feel like a guest in my own story. Mom passed when I was 10, and Dad remarried within a year. My sister Laura became the golden child overnight. Private schools, summer camps, the best of everything. I was the helper, the one who stayed behind to clean the dishes after every celebration I wasn't really part of. When I had my son Owen at 26, they said I'd ruin my chances of success. I didn't argue. I just built quietly, working late nights as a data coordinator until I could afford something better. Over the years, my silence became my weapon. But tonight, as I watched my sister's twins lick chocolate frosting while my little boy picked at his fruit cup, something inside me finally shifted. "Madison, it's fine," my dad muttered when I stood. "You don't have to make a scene." I smiled gently. "Oh, I'm not making a scene," I said. "I'm just making a point." The waiter nodded as I handed over my black card. My black card. He whispered something and his eyes widened. "Of course, ma'am." Laura smirked. "You really don't have to pay." "I'm not," I said softly. "Not yet." Because when I sat back down, I already knew the real payment wasn't coming from my wallet. The waiter disappeared with the bill, and I could feel the tension ripple through the table. Laura leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine like she owned the world. "You really didn't have to do that, Maddie. We were fine handling it." I smiled. "Oh, I know, but sometimes it's nice to treat family." Dad grunted. "Family? You barely visit. You miss Thanksgiving." I looked up steady. "You didn't invite me, Dad. You sent a group text saying, 'Maybe next year.'" His jaw tightened. Laura gave a fake laugh. "Don't be sensitive. You know how chaotic holidays get." I looked across the table at Owen. His small fingers played with the straw in his juice, pretending not to hear the grown-ups. That tiny act, staying quiet to keep the peace, was the same thing I'd done all my life. Not anymore. The waiter returned with the folder and placed it in front of me, nodding slightly. Laura leaned forward, curious. "So what's the damage?" I opened it slowly and smiled. $612. Her smirk widened. "Ouch, guess your little treat backfired." I met her eyes. "Actually, no. The manager comped it." Her face froze. "What?" The waiter cleared his throat. "Miss Clark owns the consulting firm that manages this restaurant's payroll system. The staff wanted to extend their gratitude." A flicker of shock crossed my father's face. "You what exactly do you do?" "Something that apparently pays better than judgment," I said calmly, sliding the folder back. The room went quiet. Laura looked pale, her perfect lipstick trembling. I stood, lifted my purse, and turned to Owen. "Ready, buddy?" He nodded, eyes wide. "Where are you going?" Dad called. "Home," I said softly. "Some of us actually built one." And as I walked out, I could feel every unspoken apology chasing behind me like ghosts. Outside, the night air felt cooler than usual. Clean, honest, and quiet. Owen slipped his hand into mine as we walked toward the car. "Mom, did we do something bad?" he asked softly. I knelt to his level. "No, sweetheart. We just showed them what respect looks like." He smiled faintly, trusting me the way I'd never trusted them. When we got home, I tucked him into bed, but I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying my sister's smirk, my father's silence, the same script we'd been acting out for decades. They thought my success made me arrogant, but really, it just made me visible. The next morning, a message buzzed on my phone. Dad, you embarrassed your sister last night. She was only trying to help. Then another. Laura, you've changed, Maddie. Grandma would be ashamed. That last line broke something small inside me. Grandma, the one person who had truly believed in me, had left her old cafe to Laura because she had the time. I was too busy working to be considered worthy. But now that cafe was struggling. I knew it. Everyone did. By noon, I'd made a call to my financial advisor. I want to purchase the Whitman Street Cafe, I said. He hesitated. That's your sister's place, right? Not for long. Within a week, it was done. Bought through a subsidiary. Silent ownership. The following Saturday, Laura posted a tearful update online. Our family cafe is under new management. Hard to watch something we love slip away. I almost felt bad. Almost. Until Dad texted again. Why didn't you tell us? We could have worked something out. I stared at the screen and typed back, I learned that from you. Remember? Some people don't deserve explanations. Then I turned off my phone and smiled. For the first time, I was finally free from their table. By Monday morning, the papers were finalized. The cafe sign was repainted, its books reorganized, and the staff, half of whom Laura had underpaid for years, were now working under fair contracts. I kept my name off everything. No grand reveal, no bragging. Just balance. Still, word spreads fast in small towns. That evening, I was cleaning up Owen's crayons when my phone lit up again. Dad, this time, his voice was shaking. Madison, did you buy the cafe? I stayed silent. Laura's devastated. She said the new owners kicked her out. How could you? I took a slow breath. Dad, when I was 18, you told me you couldn't afford my college. You drained Mom's savings to help Laura build her dream cafe. I didn't say a word. I worked 2 jobs instead. Consider this an overdue correction. He exhaled sharply. You're being spiteful. No, I said softly. I'm being fair. For a long moment, there was nothing but static. Then his voice, small and tired, came through. You really are your mother's daughter. The call ended there. But that single sentence, the first time he'd ever compared me to her, didn't hurt. It healed. That weekend, I drove past the cafe just before closing. New signage gleamed under the lights. The willow cup, my grandmother's favorite flower, my mother's favorite word. Through the window, I saw customers laughing. The air looked warm again, not desperate. Laura stood across the street, staring at the place she once claimed was too much responsibility. When our eyes met, she didn't scowl. She just looked lost. I didn't roll down the window. I didn't gloat. I simply nodded once, the way my mom used to do when she knew she'd done the right thing, even if it hurt. Some lessons don't come from revenge. They come from peace that looks suspiciously like power. Days passed, and for the first time in years, my phone stayed silent. No guilt calls, no emotional blackmail, no subtle reminders that I'd broken the family. Just calm. Until one Friday morning, when an unfamiliar number flashed across my screen. Against my better judgment, I answered. It's Dad. His tone was uneasy, like he'd rehearsed his call all night. Your sister's struggling. She can't find work. She says the cafe was all she had. I leaned against the counter, staring out the window at Owen's school bus pulling away. "She still has you," I said. He sighed. "You sound proud of what you did." I paused. "No, Dad. I sound done with pretending it didn't matter." Silence. Then his voice cracked. "I never wanted things to end up like this. I thought I was protecting everyone." I closed my eyes. "You were protecting their comfort, not your kids." He didn't argue. For the first time in my life, he didn't defend himself. He just listened. Later that day, I stopped by the Willow Cup. I told the manager to hire 2 new staff members, both single mothers from the local shelter. No one should be treated like I was. When I walked out, I saw Laura sitting in her car across the street watching me. She didn't wave, but she didn't glare either. Just a long, searching look that almost felt like surrender. That night, I sat with Owen as he drew pictures of our coffee shop. He colored a flower above the sign and grinned.
"Mom, it's like a happy place now." I smiled. "That's the point, sweetheart. We don't fix broken things by hating them. We fix them by owning them." And for the first time, the word owning didn't mean money. It meant peace. A few weeks later, I was in the cafe office sorting invoices when the door creaked open. I looked up, and there was Laura standing in the doorway, holding a folder and a storm of emotions on her face. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. I gestured to the chair across from me. "Go ahead." She sat down, shoulders tense. "I came to pick up the last of my paperwork, but I also wanted to see what you'd done to this place." I leaned back. "You mean how it's functioning now?" Her eyes darted around the room, the new espresso machine, the busy tables outside the window, the hum of customers that hadn't existed in months. "It's different," she said finally. "Better, because I paid people what they deserved," I said softly, "because I cared." Her lips trembled. "I cared too, Madison. I just didn't know how to run it. Dad said you wouldn't understand business." I said, he was half right. I didn't understand his kind of business, the one that builds pride out of neglect. Laura looked down. "You humiliated us." "I exposed the truth," I corrected. "You can't call it humiliation when it's accountability." She looked up, tears brimming. "You sound just like Mom." That caught me off guard. For years, Mom had been the line neither of us crossed. I swallowed. "Then maybe that's the first compliment I've ever earned from you." She stood, clutching the folder. "I'm sorry, Maddie," she whispered, "for the dinner, for Owen, for everything." I nodded. "I know." And for the first time, she didn't run from silence. She let it settle between us, a quiet acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, we'd both grown up. When she left, I stayed seated, hands trembling, not from anger, but relief. Sometimes closure doesn't slam the door. Sometimes it just walks out gently and lets you breathe. After that day, something in me shifted. The anger that had fueled me for years began to dissolve, like steam fading from a mug left too long untouched. I realized revenge had never really been my goal. It was recognition. A week later, I invited Dad to the Willow Cup, not out of guilt, but because Owen had asked, "Does Grandpa ever come here?" And I didn't want my son to inherit my silence. When Dad arrived, he looked older, smaller somehow. He sat at the same corner table where he'd once told me I was too sensitive to survive in business. I placed a cup of black coffee in front of him, on the house. He stared at the cup, then at me. "You turned this place around." I turned myself around. The place just followed. He exhaled. "You told me what you said about respect." I nodded. "It's something I had to teach myself. You could have taught it, Dad. You just didn't." He nodded slowly, eyes moist. "I was wrong, Maddie. I thought keeping things in one child's hands would make it easier. I didn't realize I was cutting the other one off completely. I didn't rush to fill the silence. I let him sit in it, let him face the cost of what he'd done. Finally, he whispered, "You built something good. I'm proud of you." The words should have come years ago, but hearing them now didn't sting. They just settled. I smiled faintly. "Then do me a favor, Dad." "What's that?" "Stop being proud of me. Start being better with me." He looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "I can try." And for once, I believed him. Because maybe forgiveness isn't forgetting the past. It's reclaiming your place in it. Sunday morning, I opened the cafe early. Sunlight spilled through the windows, soft and golden, wrapping everything in quiet peace. Dad arrived holding a small wooden box. "It's from your mother," he said. Inside was a folded note and a key. "For my girl who listens more than she speaks. When they underestimate you, don't shout. Build." I smiled. She always knew. He nodded slowly. Maybe I didn't. Owen ran from the kitchen, flour on his cheeks. "Grandpa, help me bake muffins." For the first time, I laughed without holding back. Later, Laura appeared with a bag of coffee beans. "Partnership offer," she said shyly. 50-50, no conditions. I replied, 50-50 in effort, too. "Deal," she whispered. By noon, the cafe buzzed with life again. Voices, laughter, the hum of forgiveness filling every corner. I stepped outside, looked up at the sign, the Willow Cup. It no longer represented loss. It meant legacy reborn. Owen tugged my sleeve. "Mom, do you think our grandma can see us?" I smiled at the sunlight. I think she never left. And just like that, the past felt quiet. Not gone, just finally at peace.